So, when I was young, I didn't get many girls. Like in high school, I was the guy who got some girls here and there, but it was very not consistent. And deep down, I didn't feel worthy for girls. So even if a girl showed me interest, I would not register it because internally I really couldn't accept it. I didn't see that as a possibility, especially with girls that I found to be very attractive. And then it took a couple years, but once I started getting girls, I fell onto a dark path, the path of validation, where I almost objectified girls in some ways. Where, I think a lot of guys can relate to this, but you try to like level up in terms of girls. You're like, oh, I showed myself I can get this type of girl, but what about this girl? What about this type of girl? And then models, influencers, celebrities, leveling up, leveling up. And I really kind of lost myself in that. And it took reconnecting with my family, my Asian cultures, and just the values that I was raised with in order to pull myself out of it and then ultimately become a person that I can be more proud of. Yeah, I don't think casual dating is necessarily bad, but to do it in a moral and conscious way where you're not hurting anybody, where everyone involved is aware of what they're getting themselves into, I think that is, yeah, that should be the goal, as opposed to, I've heard about a lot of stories from different girls where guys will love bomb them until they sleep with the girl and then just ghost them or disappear. I mean, I was never that bad, but so that's one side of the spectrum, right? And the other side of the spectrum, I believe, is when you are honest, right? Whatever you want, if you just want something casual, you're very kind of upfront about that. But obviously, as a guy, you're always running this kind of delicate balance of like, if I'm too upfront, if I'm too honest, she's gonna reject me, right? Because you assume no girl's gonna want that. If you say, hey, I just wanna fuck tonight and I probably won't see you again, you think that the girl's probably gonna say no to that. And yeah, that might be true. But how do you then deal with that? Do you then lie? Or do you then soften the truth and mislead? I think that really determines what kind of man you are. And I think to be a good man, you need to be okay with letting some girls go for the sake of doing the right thing, doing the thing that your heart knows to be true. And sure, like in the beginning, let's say you mislead a couple girls, right, by accident, you know, maybe you use the shield of, oh, I did feel that way when I said those things. I did actually think that we might be able to be serious. But then after there's been a pattern, after you've seen the same thing happen with X amount of girls, you can't lie to yourself anymore. You can see that every time you do this, people are getting hurt, people are getting disappointed. And then what do? I think you can either become a guy who then doesn't care, you just keep doing it. But that is going to eat away at your soul. That's what I think anyway. Or you can be someone who's honest. And if casual is all you want with this girl, you're honest about it. You don't try to give off a different impression. You don't then try to play this boyfriend character. Because the thing is, a lot of girls are okay with something casual, but you do have to just lead. You have to lead in a masculine way in terms of the frame that you set. Right? Obviously, if you're like really getting to know her and asking her about her deepest insecurities and ambitions, how many children she wants to have one day, then she's gonna think you want a relationship, right? And if that's what you want, then go for it. But if that's not what you want, don't do it just to get laid. But yeah, back in the day, I used to think there was only one version of what cool was. And this version of cool was very almost like macho, and it was very outwards. It's like show the world how cool you are, tell the world how cool you are. And then later on in life, I realized that, oh, actually, there's different circles in this world, different vibrational frequencies of people, and people are drawn to different things. There is a segment of society that thinks the Bugatti, the flexing, the being very cocky, trying very hard to show the world how confident you are. There's a segment of society that thinks that is cool. And you can play that game to climb the ladder to the top of this crowd, or you can see another path, and that there's another crowd that thinks everyone here is kind of lame, trying too hard. That's why I really like the advice of just be yourself. Because if you be yourself, you follow your heart, you be the man that you want to be, you're naturally going to gravitate towards the crowd that you belong in, that would appreciate you just the way you are. But for me, I kind of got lost in the sauce playing this game where I was trying to be cool in this crowd. But actually, that is not who I was. I am at my core. And it took kind of pulling back from my entire social circle at the time and then reconnecting with my family. My family really helped a lot. And reconnecting with my Asian values, Asian cultures, my family, and just to see like how pure and yet happy that they were. And I kind of looked at them from the outside. At the time I was in more of a complicated world where people kind of manipulate it more. People would keep score, keep count. They look at your status, they profile you differently. It was through that more like superficial, surface level mindset lens. And I looked at my family members and I thought, damn, I really like these people. And I think I was one of them. But the world kind of corrupted me. Or rather, I thought I had to be something else in order to be liked, in order to fit in. And then, like I said, I realized that, oh, actually, there's just different definitions of what cool is. And I don't necessarily need to go here in order to be liked. If I just follow my heart and I be the person I want to be, there are people that will like me for that as well. And ironically, by truly following my heart and just doing what I feel like and honoring my opinions, my desires, that made me more confident than ever before. Because I think before, when I was going the other path, I was still a little bit like performative. And when I walk into a room, I'm kind of scanning the environment a bit more. I'm a bit more, there's more comparison in my mind. I'm comparing because I'm in some ways performing. And when you perform, you are evaluating your performance. And once I totally let go of all of that, I the only performance that I have to do is whether I acted in a way that I'm proud of, and I'm proud of authenticity. That is my value. So yeah, I think society doesn't really put an emphasis on this so much anymore, especially in the Western societies. But being moral, doing the right thing, even when no one's looking, I think that makes you very confident. That makes you very proud, and you really love yourself for it because you know you're someone who doesn't cut corners, and you try to do the right thing even when no one's watching. You don't, scam people. You don't owe people money and then ghost them afterwards. You don't break girls' hearts on purpose because you just want to get laid. Right? I think all of these things slowly chip away at your soul. You can either turn a blind eye on it, or you can face it and then start becoming a better person.